When pythons attack. 4 shocking true stories. Today we explore the tragic story of a man who catches a snake, but it then breaks free and crushes him to death. It was December 27, 2013, and Mr. Akbar Salubiro was a 59-year-old security guard at a restaurant in Indonesia's resort island of Bali. A large python was seen crossing the road near the luxury Bali Hyatt Hotel. He had offered to help capture the snake, which had been spotted there several times before. Local residents had grown uneasy about its presence. He'd handled snakes before and was confident in his ability. Mr. Salubiro approached the snake, and after a few minutes he was able to capture it. He grabbed its head in one hand, and with the other hand, he eventually got hold of the snake's tail. By this time, there were quite a few onlookers watching this happen. They were a mixture of locals and tourists. Everyone was congratulating the older man on how he had been able to subdue the enormous animal. He was enjoying the adulation, and he lifted the python onto his shoulders. But then things took a deadly turn. In a split second, the python broke free, coiling its powerful body around Mr. Salubiro's neck. The crowd watched in horror as the snake tightened its grip. Despite their attempts to intervene, they were powerless to stop the attack. And then the snake strangled Mr. Salubiro to death. This happened so quick because the snake's muscular body squeezes tighter with each exhale it makes, thereby effectively cutting off his blood flow and oxygen. And then it managed to slither away unharmed into the thick undergrowth. It was estimated that this snake was about 15 feet, 4 to 5 meters long. While attacks on humans are rare, they do happen. Pythons typically avoid humans, but there are situations where they might see us as prey or feel threatened. Experts believe that larger pythons, such as the Burmese python, may mistake humans for natural prey due to our size and movements. Other python attacks on humans. In 2018, a 54-year-old woman was swallowed whole by a 23-foot python. Mrs. Watiba was working in her vegetable garden in a village on the island of Muna in Indonesia. She had no idea of the horror that was to befall her. The garden where she grew her vegetables for the family was near some rocky cliffs. There were also a few caves nearby which were home to some pythons. But in the evening, when she did not return home, her family went to the garden area to look for her. All they could find was one of her sandals, and then they came across a snake that was hiding near the garden. It was lying there with a huge bulge in the middle of its body, so they killed it, and the body of Mrs. Watiba was found intact in the belly of the snake. The animal had swallowed her whole, head first. 25-year-old Akbar Salubiro was working on the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia. On March 25, 2017, when he did not return home, a search party went looking for him. 2 days later, they came across a python with a very large belly. They were shocked by this sight because they were pretty sure what it meant. They realized that Mr. Salubiro must have been eaten by the python. They cut open the belly of the snake and found him dead inside. A man finds his brother being eaten by a snake. It was in 1995, and the man was 29-year-old Ee Heng Huan, who lived with his mother and brother in Malaysia. He had gone to the back of his house to start the generator to power the home. When he did not return, his brother went to look for him. He brought a light because the path was in darkness and was full of thick bushes. What he saw when he got to where the generator was horrified him. His brother had a python wrapped around his body and had been squeezed to death by the snake. It already had his brother's head in its mouth and was about to eat him. There was no way he could attempt to get the snake off his brother, so Heng Huan went to the nearby police station for help. They came out and hunted the snake, which was then cornered by the policeman. It took 4 shots to kill it, and the man's body was recovered. The python was reported as measuring 22 feet, 7 meters long, and weighing more than 300 pounds, 140 kilograms. These stories are a heartbreaking reminder of the risks involved when humans and wildlife collide. How to stay safe around pythons. If you ever encounter a large snake, here are some crucial tips. Keep your distance and do not attempt to capture it. Alert local wildlife authorities. If you're in snake territory, avoid walking alone at night. Never handle a snake without proper training. Pythons remind us of the power of nature and the importance of respecting wildlife. These stories are a sobering testament to what can happen when humans and predators cross paths. Pythons don't kill out of malice. They act purely on instinct. If they feel threatened or see an opportunity for food, they strike. Unfortunately, humans sometimes get caught in these deadly encounters. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories about the wonders and dangers of the natural world. Have you ever had a close encounter with wildlife? Share your story in the comments below.